guys, it's Sim, and this is Wrestling Unlimited. As we are here, let me adjust this camera. For some reason, it bumped my desk and it wonked the camera all out. We're here on Monday. You're already off to a rough start. It's the 15th of August, 2022. We've got the wrestling wrap-up. Let's fix. There we go. There we go. Also, don't mind the mess back there. I'm moving soon, so we're getting everything situated and moved around the house. But with that, it's Monday, it's the wrestling wrap-up, it's a handful of news brought to you in one easy-to-watch video. Today we do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 stories to talk about. Kind of 8. One's a real quick, just funny thing that happened at a live event over the weekend for WWE. But with that, we've got 8 things that we're going to talk about today on the wrestling wrap-up. We're going to talk about the big news that dropped over the weekend pertaining to Drew McIntyre, some interesting info on the WWE Draft, some WWE returns recently, and more. Also, Jon Moxley in a title versus career match. But with that, this is the wrestling wrap-up. I do want to say thank you if you are watching live, twitch.tv/PWU Unlimited, or if you're watching or listening later, whether that's youtube.com/Pro Wrestling Unlimited, or on podcast services all around the globe like Stitcher, Spotify, Google Pod, Apple Pod, Anchor, iHeartRadio, and so much more. If you are watching on Twitch right now, you can help us out a couple of different ways. You can either help us out by hitting that donate button down below or by donating Twitch bits in the live chat. Also, remember, you can help us out one of 2 different ways by subscribing to the channel, either like Old Cut KC recently did with a tiered subscription, or you can be like Raiders United 11, who subscribed recently with Amazon Prime. Because remember, if you not just have an Amazon Prime account, but have access to an Amazon Prime account, then you got Prime Gaming. And Prime Gaming gives you a lot of cool things like free games, free stuff for games, and it always gives you 1 free subscription to any Twitch channel you want to subscribe to throughout the month. And I greatly appreciate it if you did right here, Pro Wrestling Unlimited. But also remember, if you follow us on YouTube, you can help us out over there as well by hitting the join button down below. Hit the join button to become a channel member. As a channel member, you get early access to news, early access to podcast episodes, early access to non-news videos, and so much more. Also, remember, you can get all that, but more directly support us by heading over to patreon.com/PW Unlimited. And finally, head over to the Epic Game Store. Head over to the Epic Game Store and buy something, whether that's a new game, whether that's an old game, whether you're claiming one of the free games, or you're getting bucks for Rocket League, Fortnite, Fall Guys, or even now, Rumbleverse. Rumbleverse now has Epic Creator Code integration as well. All you got to do is go to the store page. It'll ask you if you've got a creator you want to support, and you do. It's PW Unlimited. Put in the code PW Unlimited for all Epic Games and Epic Games Store purchases, and you will be directly supporting us right here, Pro Wrestling Unlimited, and it doesn't cost you anything extra at all. But with that, as we get into our first news story of the day, we have to talk about Drew McIntyre. Now, the story was so big that I was at the lake when this story broke, and I stopped what I was doing and filmed a video at the lake. I mean, I can pull it up here. It's actually kind of funny. Like, literally, I was riding jet skis. We had just got off the skis. We were taking a little snack break. We were eating, actually, breakfast, because we get there super early. So, well, no, it was like between breakfast and lunch. But news breaks, so I'm like, you know what? This is big. This is really big. I need to make a video. So I made a video out at the lake talking about Drew McIntyre's injury. I got a lot of interesting comments on this one. I'm just going to say it right there. I got a lot of interesting comments that had nothing to do with Drew McIntyre. But with that, as far as the story does go, over the weekend, the news actually came out that Drew McIntyre had been pulled from live events. It was stated that Drew McIntyre has been dealing with a back injury, and WWE wanted to make sure he didn't get any more injured, I guess you can say, leading into Clash at the Castle. And that is where people actually misconstrued the story. Now, the word is that McIntyre, again, is dealing with a back injury, and WWE pulled him from live events due to a precaution. So that way he can, I guess you could say, rest up essentially before Clash at the Castle. Now, yes, he did work a match on SmackDown this week and did a lot in that match, but not going out and doing 2 more matches that same weekend. That's going to keep him resting up a little bit. This does not mean that Clash at the Castle in the main event with Roman Reigns is canceled. No, because I got a lot of those comments too. Oh my God, the Clash at the Castle main event is screwed. Oh my God, they just canceled the main event for Clash. Oh my God, Drew's not going to make it to Cardiff. That's not at all what this story is, what we reported, and what was being said. It is that, again, Drew McIntyre is dealing with a back injury, working through a lower back injury, and because of that, right now, he's not working live events. That's what's going on. He's not working live events to not over-exacerbate himself, to possibly make the injury worse, and then put the Clash of the Castle main event in jeopardy. Right now, the main event is not in jeopardy. He is still scheduled to work Clash of the Castle, and everything is good to go for that. So McIntyre will be not working live events for at least the next couple of weeks leading up to the September 3rd Clash at the Castle event, and we'll see if that extends farther. We'll see if maybe after Clash he takes time off then. But as of right now, and I wanted to clear this up and not classify, that's way wrong word. I wanted to clear this up and just, what's the word I'm looking for? Explain, I guess you could say further, that he's not being pulled from Clash at the Castle. We got a lot of people thinking that was the case, and that's not the case. One bit, one iota at all. But speaking of WWE live events, story number 2 has to do with Ronda Rousey and what she did to a fan, I guess you can say, this weekend at a live event. We're going to pull up the tweet right here on the screen. The GIF, so I can't just like, well, hold on. We're going to pause it here in a second. Ronda Rousey basically stole a fan's phone that wanted a selfie and then took a selfie with another fan. It's pretty funny, actually. I do say so myself. So, got the video here. I can make it a little bit bigger, but the more bigger I make it, it's going to get pixelated. So, this fan wanted to take a selfie with Ronda Rousey, and I don't know, he's got it on video mode, whatever. Ronda then goes, no, I'm not going to take your phone. I'm going to take your phone? Selfie? Yeah? Runs over to the other side, takes a selfie with some fans, runs back over, gives the guy the phone back, and then laughs at him. And then just laughs at him. Watch it one more time. I think that's pretty funny. Ronda's screwing with fans. She literally was like, oh, you want a selfie? Okay, I'll take one of myself with somebody else and then give it back to you. So not only does the guy not get a selfie with Ronda, but the people that just took a picture with Ronda, unless they find that guy and say, text me the photo, don't get that photo. Don't get that photo they just took with Ronda Rousey. I find that pretty funny on like 3 different accounts. The first guy, who she's like, give me your phone. Oh, never mind. Then she took the other guy's phone to take the selfie with somebody else. And then the other people don't even get their selfie that they took. So I find it funny on like 3 different accounts. And I thought it was just a humorous story we could talk about here right quick. But story number 3 shifts things over to a little bit of AEW talk pertaining to AEW All Out and their ticket sales as of right now. So AEW All Out does come to us on September 4th, which is a Sunday. And as far as that show does go, it looks like ticket sales going pretty well. Ticket sales for AEW All Out are going rather well, as according to WrestleTix, they have stated that AEW has so far basically sold out All Out, noting that the company has sold 7,628 tickets. Only 27 actual tickets remain for sale as of right now. Now, we do know that more tickets can get put on sale once we get like closer to the actual event. And I should have done this before, but I want to see How many tickets were sold last year? AEW All Out 2021 ticket sales. So last year, trying to find the number. Here we go. Nope, that's still this year. This one say it. Capacity last year was attendance 10,126 is what they stated last year. Now, I don't know if that's tickets sold or just attendance in the building. But that's what was revealed and reported through AEW last year. So if they said 10,000 last year and there's only about 7,000 tickets sold right now, and that's considered a sellout, is that good? Because we'll have to wait and see. Because again, if they did 10,000, and I don't know if that's 10,000 tickets sold last year or if that's 10,000 just all the other people in the building. I think it might be all the other people in the building. But if they've only sold 7,000, let me pull the number up again. I just accidentally closed it. If they've only sold 7,628 tickets so far with 27 tickets remaining, that means there's going to need to be another 3,000 tickets or so to be sold, or just 3,000 more people in the building other than who paid for tickets. But speaking of All Out and AEW and all that jazz, story number 4, I will say spoiler alert if you have not seen this morning's episode of Being the Elite, as they, I guess you could say, teased Kenny Omega's return for this week's AEW Dynamite. Now, the Young Bucks have teased Kenny Omega's return. Specifically, Matt Jackson hinted at his arrival on the newest edition of Being the Elite. Omega has been sidelined since last November, and he last wrestled at Full Gear in 2021. Where AEW, or at that show, he did drop the championship, the AEW World Championship, to Hangman Page. Now, as far as this morning's Being the Elite does go, Kenny Omega in the past has worn a Backstreet Boys shirt and alluded to him and the Bucks as the Backstreet Boys. Well, Matt Jackson on this week's Being the Elite actually wore a Backstreet Boys t-shirt. That was the first tease of Kenny Omega's possible return this week, teaming with the Young Bucks in the Trios Championship. A reference to a memorable picture that shows Omega and the Bucks attending a Backstreet Boys concert. And again, Omega at one point calling them the Backstreet Boys. But most notably, AEW, or not AEW, but Being the Elite, has brought back the cell phone gimmick. If you remember back in the day, they used to do a lot of things where teasing calls on their cell phone as far as different teases on Being the Elite for AEW. Most notably, again, at the end of the show, Matt gets a call and asks the person on the other line, "Are you sure? You sure you're ready?" The line seemingly hinted that Omega was the one calling. And that could mean that he's ready for this week's AEW Dynamite. Now, we didn't hear a voice on the other end of that phone call. We didn't see a phone number pop up on the screen or anything. But Matt does take the phone that's ringing, answer it, and says, Are you sure? You're sure you're ready? And so, ultimately, seems like they are teasing the return of Kenny Omega this week on AEW Dynamite. Now, Kenny Omega initially was only supposed to be out of action until February. That was the initial thought, that he would heal up, maybe have one surgery or two, and be back sometime in February, maybe March. But then Kenny Omega revealed that he needed more time to rehab and heal up. Tony Khan told him, take as much time as you want. And I think it was in an interview with Fightful last month. He did state that things are going well, but if he has one more bump in the road, he may never return. Now, it looks like all that's changing as he's going to return. Or at least we hope, and it seems, this week on Dynamite. Again, the Young Bucks are slated to be taking on Andrade, Dragon Lee, and Roosh in the first round of the Trios title tournament with a mystery opponent. And who else can that mystery opponent be? I mean, Hangman turned him down. So the only person that really makes sense, it's not Cutler. They told Cutler it ain't going to be him. When he goes, hey, maybe I could be your partner. It ain't Cutler. So it's got to be Kenny Omega. Got to be the cleaner. But as we get into story number 5, talk about an AEW wrestler, actually, AEW champion, who is booked for a championship versus career match coming up at an upcoming GCW show. As Jon Moxley, the current interim AEW World Champion, who is also the Game Changer Wrestling World Champion, going to be taking on, I guess you could say, an old foe in Nick Gage in a, title versus career match. After Jon Moxley successfully retained the GCW World Championship against Effie in the main event of Homecoming Part 1, Gage came down to the ring to the surprise of the champion, who had been calling him out for some competition in that promotion, saying that nobody is on his level. Gage, accompanied by Dewey Donovan, grabbed a microphone and questioned whether he was going to continue to wrestle or not, despite recently getting into better shape physically and mentally. Gage said that he wants to take the title from Moxley, or someone can put a bullet in his brain. Moxley responded by telling Gage that it wasn't long ago that he tried to put him down like a dog because he loved him. The champion agreed to give Gage a shot as long as he puts his title or his career on the line. Gage didn't even think about it. He immediately accepted and said that he would bring the title home. Now, we have not heard when the match is actually going to take place. I have not seen that, but the match will be taking place sometime soon, as it'll be the Jon Moxley's GCW World title against Nick Gage's career. Now, here's the big question. Is Nick Gage retiring? There's been teases, and Nick even saying that he may be on the back end of his career, that maybe he's done, that maybe he's done all he can do in pro wrestling. I mean, Homecoming Night 2, we saw him give the pizza cutter to Matt Cardona during his wedding, so we'll see. I didn't quite care for the wedding. I watched it because everyone hyped it up to me so much. It was all right. Everyone's like, oh, best wrestling wedding ever. It was all right. But again, I'm not that demo into the super over-the-top, cheesy, campy, GCW, all that kind of stuff. Like, when it comes to that kind of stuff, sometimes I'm not the demo for that. I find some of it funny, but not most of it. But back to the match. So yeah, we do not know when the match will actually take place. No date has been listed for this title versus career match. And it looks like this will be Gage's first match, I want to say since May. I wrote that down right. Let me double check. Nick Gage has not worked a match since May 15th. He worked an FWF show and hasn't worked a GCW match since March 31st. Well, I think this match is going to be really fun. I think this match can be really, really good, and we'll see where it all does lead to. My question is, does Moxley drop the title, or does Nick Gage retire? Remember, his career's on the line. He would have to retire if he doesn't win. Moving forward, before we get into story number 6, let's talk about the sponsor of this video, MyMedic. It's MyMedic. Everyone bleeds. There isn't a single person who doesn't need first aid now and then. There's a new, better way to keep yourself, your family, and your friends, and your coworkers, and your enemies, and your pets, and everyone prepared. That is by having first aid kits on hand. But not just any first aid kits, a kit jam-packed with only the best supplies this earth has to offer. Whether you need a kit for your car, your house, your boat, your trailer, your range bag, your office, or your pocket, MyMedic has got you covered. MyMedic has kits for every situation and for everyone. MyMedic prepares you for those unexpected moments. Order right now with our link in the chat or the description below. And not only will you be supporting us here at Pro Wrestling Unlimited, but you will be getting 10% off of your next order. MyMedic has you covered for every situation that life throws you. where you need to be kept safe or just need to be a little bit bandaged up. Trust me, I've used a MyMedic bandage kit before. I'm outside of doing this stuff, podcasting and all that, I'm also a firearms instructor. We take people to the range and we have to watch them shoot before we can sign off on their paperwork when they take our classes. And one guy held his gun wrong, and when he went to fire, the slide came back, and when it went forward, his hand was just a little bit too far up, and it, as you call it, bit him right here. Well, it bit him so bad that he was gushing out blood to the point where so much blood was coming out, and I know this is getting a little graphic, that the sand below him was starting to kind of like part ways and crevice and divot in. So we used our MyMedic kit and all the different things in it to wrap him up, clot it up, and get it to where he was good enough to get home and treat it whatever once he's home. So again, use the link in the description below or in the chat right now. Support us and get 10% off of your next order with MyMedic. Moving along to story number 6. We've always heard the stuff back in the day, a couple of years ago and whatnot. Tommaso Ciampa would rather retire than move to WWE's main roster. Tommaso Ciampa would not want to go work under Vince McMahon. Tommaso Ciampa wants to stay in NXT. And then, earlier this year, Ciampa came up to the main roster. And on Ryan Satin and Fox Sports' Out of Character podcast, Ciampa actually talked about this, explaining why he changed his mind on his main roster move, stating, quote, "It would be hard to put in one thing. Number one, 300 days doesn't exist anymore. So that was big. That was something just kind of recently became a shift. I mean, prior to the pandemic, it slowed. And then now it's just a whole new game. The pandemic itself, the neck injury, and how it all went down. I was home almost every single night of Willow, his daughter's first 3 years. In the weirdest scenario, you couldn't predict that. However, just the fact that I got to do that, you build such relationship with your child in those first few years. It's something they're never going to remember probably, but just our bond now, and now, like she's almost 4. She can travel with us to events. She came to the Green Bay Loop, so we could go to Milwaukee and see family. She's been like 3 loops. So having that time at home with her from the pandemic, the schedule changing from the main roster, and interest in wrestling in general, those were 2 big factors. And then the success of the neck injury. With the success of the neck injury and coming out of the other end of going like, oh, not only do I feel good, not only do I have function and strength back, I feel better than I could. You don't know the discomfort when you're in your norm. And it was my norm. So now all of a sudden I'm like, whoa, like I feel amazing. I'm getting back in there. I'm bumping. I'm having matches. We did war games. I way overdo it in Portland just to see if I can, as a personal test type of thing. And I'm fine the next day. That started to factor in. I'm like, wait, I thought I only had a few years left, but I might have 10 to 20 years left. So once you start opening that up and you don't put an expiration date on your career, it was like, okay, what do I want to accomplish? Because I honestly felt like I won the NXT title. Like, that was it for me. I've hit my pinnacle. I have this crappy neck, and I'm probably in my twilight. So it is cool to see that Ciampa feels better than ever. That he feels like after having the neck surgery, it changed him, which it should. And that's good. He thought that you have the neck surgery, you're on borrowed time, and then you retire. But we've seen a lot of guys have neck surgery, come back, and still have amazing careers after that for many, 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 many years. I mean, look at Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle had neck surgery in 2003 and then came back and had over another decade of career. Having banger after banger matches in TNA and Impact, coming back to WWE and having some good matches there as well. I mean, Edge. Yes, Edge had neck surgery. Let's see, when did Edge have his first neck surgery? I'm trying to remember. Was that 2003, 2004? Maybe it was a little sooner than that. He went for another almost 10 years. So, not bad neck surgery. And he feels like better than ever. Maybe I got 10, 20 more years left. I don't know about 20, but maybe 10. maybe 10 if he can keep that light schedule and not work too hard and just work hard enough to put on great matches and not overdo it. He said he tried to overdo it once just to see. Perfectly fine. So that's really good to hear. Speaking of other former NXT names on the main roster, story number 10 has to do with Dexter Lumis and Hit Row. Last week, we saw the returns to WWE of Dexter Lumis and Hit Row. Dexter Lumis returned on Monday Night Raw with 3 members of Hit Row, as they are now calling themselves the OG3. Top Dollar, Ashanti the Adonis, and B-Fab return on SmackDown. Now, according to Mike Johnson of PW Insider, Johnson does report that Hit Row are all listed on the SmackDown roster as babyfaces internally. In addition to Hit Row, the report also confirms that Ronda Rousey is listed as a babyface. Perhaps the most interesting tidbit is that, well, Dexter Lumis is not listed on any roster yet. PW Insider noted that at this time, Lumis is not listed for either Raw or SmackDown, despite Lumis returning last week on Monday Night Raw. The report provides no reason as to why Lumis is not, I guess you could say, placed on a brand yet. Now, the way Lumis came in last week on Raw made you think he's going to be a member of the Raw roster. But now looking at this makes you think, would he just randomly show up and keep getting arrested on both shows? If that's the case, I think they would have done it on SmackDown as well. But that would be actually kind of cool and interesting and different. Someone, you released me. I'm trying to get back. So I'm going to do it by just infiltrating your shows. I'm going to do it by showing up every Monday, showing up every Friday. Whether you kind of escort me out or not, I'm going to eventually get over the barricade and into the ring. That could be, that's probably not it. I don't think so, because we would have saw it on SmackDown as well. But interestingly enough, Dexter Lumis is not listed on any, I guess you could say, roster sheet as of right now. And the final news story here, story number 8, has to do with the WWE Draft. WWE Draft could be coming up as early as next month. Actually, as early as like the next couple of weeks. According to a new report from Fightful, they do state, quote, with WWE's new regime, a lot of roster moments have already been made, and talent believe that there could be more on the way. There are several Raw stars scheduled for the first SmackDown following Clash at the Castle, which would be Friday, September 9th. On the other side of things, SmackDown talent are scheduled for Raw episodes internally for SmackDown on the 5th and the 12th. Now, talent has not been told specifically when the next upcoming WWE Draft will be taking place, but many are under the assumption that it could be taking place in September. Fightful is told that writers have noted that repackages are almost more than likely following this date as opposed to in the immediate future. For some of the talent that are wildly speculated to be repackaged, like Max Dupree and T-Bar. So it looks like, I guess you could say, many in the company do believe that the draft could be coming right after Clash at the Castle, which is an interesting move, moving it from October to September. Usually the draft is sometime in October, but they're going to maybe move it up a month. This is not 100% confirmed, so I don't want anyone going out there saying, oh, well, it's reported, it's confirmed, it's 100%. The draft taking place right after Clash at the Castle. It's not 100% true, but it's what people are believing and thinking could happen because, well, many SmackDown stars are set for Raw on those time right around there, and Raw stars are set for SmackDown right around there as well. So we'll follow the story very closely and see when the actual draft could be taking place. But with that, guys, that is going to wrap up the wrap up. That's all we got for you today. It's Monday. That means tonight's Raw, and 3 things have so far been announced for the show. So far for tonight's Monday Night Raw, we do know that Riddle will be speaking on his future after being injured by Seth Rollins. In another first-round match in the Women's Tag Team Title Tournament, Asuka and Alexa Bliss will be taking on the team of Nikki ASH and Doudrop. And finally, the U.S. title will be on the line tonight when Bobby Lashley defends against AJ Styles. So with that, guys, that's everything we got here. We will be back live tonight following Monday Night Raw. So have a great rest of your Monday. Have a great rest of your week. And I'll see you next time. Have a good one, guys.